In a Seattle hospital, Samantha and Will find out they're expecting a baby boy. Later, before heading to the airport, Will tells Samantha that he plans to ask her father for permission to marry her. In Chicago, Will attends some business meetings before visiting Samantha's parents, Paula and Tom. They welcome him into their home, but there's noticeable tension in the air. During dinner, Tom brings up that he's heard Will and Samantha are thinking of living together. He asks Will for some clarity about their future. Specifically, Tom wants to ensure that if they part ways, Will won't make any claims on the financial support Tom gives Samantha. Will responds that he has a stable job and they won't need any help, which quickly turns into a heated exchange. Paula tries to defuse the situation but isn't successful. She ends the evening by saying it's getting late and suggests that Will leave before things escalate. The next morning, Will is awakened by a video call from Samantha. He realizes he's late for his flight. She wants to discuss what happened with her parents, but strange noises interrupt the call. Samantha mentions a power outage and says something doesn't feel right. She admits she's scared. The video starts to glitch and the call drops. Will tries calling her back without success. On his way to the airport, he keeps trying to reach her, but she doesn't respond. When he gets to the airport, he's shocked to learn that all flights are grounded. News reports begin to mention major seismic events along the Southern California coast. Soon, contact is lost with the Los Angeles studio. A bulletin follows, reporting widespread power and communications failures across the western region. Suddenly, the airport monitors flicker and the power goes out. Will steps outside and sees people panicking. He offers extra money to a taxi driver to take him back into the city. While in the cab, he keeps trying to call Samantha without success. Once back at Paula's home, he takes the stairs since the elevator is out. He explains what happened during the video call and notices fighter jets flying overhead. The family begins packing. Tom says he plans to search for Samantha while Paula heads to their other son's home. Will agrees to go with Tom. On the street, traffic is jammed as people try to flee the city. GPS and mobile signals are down, and stores are being raided for supplies. They stop at a market. Tom heads inside for food while Will fills a gas can. A woman approaches Will, but when he doesn't respond to her interest, her friends confront him. Just as tensions rise, Tom intervenes. Pretending to offer them money, he instead draws a weapon and forces them to back off. As they drive away, Will questions why Tom never mentioned he had a weapon. Tom says it's the only reason they weren't robbed. Traffic gets worse, and eventually they're stopped at a roadblock. Tom talks to the soldiers, explains the situation, and they allow them to pass. They soon see trains heading west, loaded with military gear, which makes them even more uneasy. That night, a man posing as an officer pulls them over. Will gets out to talk, but Tom quickly realizes something's off and yells for Will to get back in the car. The man tries to fire at them, but Tom throws the car into reverse, crashing into the fake patrol car. Will climbs in and they flee, chased by the impersonator. Tom tells Will to ready the weapon. The pursuit continues, with their cars colliding. Will fires but misses. Tom gives him a quick lesson while still driving. Spotting a parked car ahead, Tom swerves, causing their pursuer to crash. Moments later, deer run into the road. Tom turns sharply, and their car veers down a hill, crashing into a tree. The imposter catches up, threatens Will, and demands he get out. Tom ambushes the man and knocks him out, then tells Will he's suffered broken ribs. They take the patrol car and use it to tow their damaged vehicle. The next day, they arrive at an RV park. The people there are wary of newcomers. In a nearby workshop, they meet Ricky, who agrees to help repair the car. The radio is their only source of information. Reporters say that all communication has collapsed except for shortwave and amateur radio systems. The government hasn't released any official statement. Radio chatter is filled with confusion and distress. Strange patterns appear in the sky, and birds are seen behaving erratically. In the bathroom, Tom notices a severe bruise on his side. Ricky tells them the car will run, but likely won't hold up for long. Tom offers her a deal. He'll pay her to join them. That way, she gets closer to her destination and can fix the vehicle if it fails again. Ricky hesitates, but eventually agrees, asking for more money. They load up the car with her gear. That night, they notice a car following them. To avoid attention, they pull over and shut off their lights. When the other car passes, they follow it using its tail lights as a guide. Ricky checks her compass and notices the needle is spinning wildly. Suddenly, another vehicle appears in their lane, forcing Will to swerve. The two cars crash and go off the road. Will checks one of them, but finds no one alive. Ricky checks the other and finds a woman who didn't survive. Her husband tries to say something, but he's too far gone. Ricky and Will suggest taking him to get help, but Tom refuses, saying it's too far and the man wouldn't make it. Tom and Will return to the car while Ricky stays, staring at the scene. Soon, another vehicle pulls up nearby, and a few suspicious-looking men step out. Tom, uneasy, drives off but stops when Will insists on picking up Ricky. As they drive away, Tom admits he only picked her up because Will asked. Ricky, upset, says she won't fix the car anymore. Tom then jerks the car on purpose, making Ricky hit her face on the seat. Later, when they stop for fuel, Ricky and Will notice the clouds acting strangely. A lightning bolt suddenly hits a pole, and a massive storm begins. Visibility becomes so poor that they decide to take shelter under a bridge. The next day, they continue with the weather much improved. As they pass a radio tower, the car radio picks up a signal. A reporter says there is still no internet or mobile service and no updates from officials. A few miles later, the road is blocked by locals and their vehicles. The sheriff is cautious but lets them through after Will mentions names of people he knows in town. They stop to visit Will's friend Meg, who hasn't heard from her husband since he left on a trip before the incident. Will takes a shower while Ricky works on the car and Tom refills water bottles. Meg breaks down emotionally, fearing for her husband. Will tries to comfort her, saying things will be okay, but that he must keep moving. Back on the road, they spot a column of smoke and discover a downed military plane. Ricky wonders if it was brought down deliberately. Later, they arrive at a water park and decide to search for supplies. Ricky jumps into the pool, only to find the water extremely hot. After seeing a military helicopter overhead, they begin searching the area. There's no money in the register, and all the vehicles have slashed tires, but they manage to fill their gas cans. Tom struggles to carry them because of his injury, and Will steps in to help. That night, while passing a signal tower, all the phones begin to vibrate. Tom gets a voicemail from Samantha, but the message is full of static and cuts off. Tom tries calling Paula but can't get through. Soon after, they see a line of coughing people walking along the road. There's smoke in the distance, and as they get closer, they realize the whole area is burning. Ricky suggests turning back, but Will insists it's their only path. They push forward through smoke and ash. Will slams the brakes when he sees a woman in the road claiming she has a flat tire. As Ricky and Will try to help, armed men step out of hiding. The woman had been forced to lure them in. The group is threatened and forced to give up their fuel. Will attempts to resist, but is quickly overpowered. Tom tries to help, but is overwhelmed by pain. The group is forced to hand over their gas cans. After the strangers leave, Will invites the woman to join them, but she chooses to stay with her unconscious partner. A chase begins in the smoky road. The strangers open fire, and Will responds by hitting their vehicle with his own. Tom, struggling to breathe, hands the firearm to Ricky. After missing a few times, she hits the other vehicle's tires, causing it to flip. When the vehicle lands upside down, Ricky runs to retrieve the fuel. One of the men refuses to let go, and they struggle until she pulls one can free. Will yells for her to run, having noticed a fuel leak. They are far enough away when the vehicle goes up in flames. Afterward, Ricky asks Will to stop the car. She runs off and breaks down, shaken by what she had to do. Tom and Will remind her she saved them, but still give her space. By sunrise, Ricky has not yet returned. Will calls out for her, but there's no response. He notices her belongings are gone. Tom admits they shouldn't have asked her to join them in the first place. As they move forward, Tom begins coughing heavily. They come across a spot with wrecked vehicles and a derailed train. Will goes to search for fuel. When he returns, Tom is struggling to breathe. His lungs are failing. To help him, Will uses a needle to relieve the pressure in his chest, allowing Tom to breathe again. Once they're back on the road, Tom asks Will to take good care of Samantha. As they talk about their families, Tom tells Will he's a good person. He reveals he knows Samantha is expecting and believes Will be a good father. That night, they reach a bridge filled with abandoned cars. An armed group blocks the road. Will explains that his friend needs help, but the group demands they move forward. Realizing it's a trap, Will reverses the car. Two riders chase after them, and Will drives defensively, eventually causing the attackers to crash. They continue on, but find their path blocked by a truck. Tom opens fire while Will maneuvers the car, causing the truck to tip over, clearing the way. They finally escape the bridge, but the effort proves too much for Tom, who passes away in the back seat. Will stops and stares at his friend's body, unsure of what to do next. He eventually covers the car and Tom with fuel and sets it ablaze in a final farewell. The next morning, Will sets off on foot. Several vehicles pass him by, but eventually a family agrees to give him a lift, only after he surrenders his firearm. During the ride, they try the radio but hear nothing. They arrive at Will's father's house, where Will tells the family they can stay. After resting, he offers them all the supplies in exchange for their vehicle, and the man agrees. Will takes back his weapon before leaving. The next day, Will reaches a city now in ruins. Ash falls from the sky. He walks through deserted streets, passing abandoned vehicles, and enters a fire truck to take a gas mask. Continuing on foot, he sees lifeless bodies in cars and smoke rising from buildings. He finally arrives at his apartment, climbing through a window since part of the building has collapsed. Inside, he finds a message from Samantha with an address. Will heads there immediately. A man named Jeremiah greets him at gunpoint, but Samantha stops him and rushes to Will. They reunite, and Will tells her what happened to her father, explaining that he wouldn't have made it without him. Later that night, Will is awakened by a loud noise. He sees lights dancing in the sky. Outside, Samantha and Jeremiah sit by a campfire. Will joins them, and they talk about what happened. They say it was an earthquake, and that authorities evacuated the city just in time. Jeremiah isn't convinced. He believes a blast hit the coast, and that something took down the entire system before people even knew what was going on. Will disagrees. Things grow tense when Jeremiah asks to see Will's firearm in private. Samantha assures Will that she doesn't buy into Jeremiah's theory either. Later, Will and Samantha share a quiet moment together. But when Will heads to the bathroom, he catches Jeremiah checking out the car. The next morning, Jeremiah says he was just drunk the night before. Will confronts him about the vehicle, and Jeremiah claims he saw two kids trying to steal supplies. They search for them, but only find wildlife. Will then tells Jeremiah they're leaving. He invites him to come along, but Jeremiah says Samantha wants to stay. Suddenly, he turns with a weapon, but Will reacts faster. A massive dark cloud appears on the horizon, moving rapidly. Will runs to get Samantha, and they escape together in the car. The cloud tears across the landscape behind them as they race ahead, trying to survive.